Good morning, everybody. We're going to be doing part 2 of our lesson today. Yesterday we started out this painting. We worked on the first layer here of our sky and our hill. Today what we'll be doing is adding in further details to the clouds, adding in another hill, and just starting to set up our foreground. I'm also going to add in a few more little clouds up here on the top, just for composition's sake. This gap here, I want to fill it up just a little bit. And so if you missed part 1, it's posted now on my Facebook page. So if you just scroll through my post, you should be able to find it down through the post below. Make sure you like my Facebook page so that way you can see all the other lessons I've done as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, part 1 is also posted on YouTube, so you can find it there as well. So what we're going to do today is just work with what we have going on here. We're going to make the clouds a little bit more realistic. We're going to add in another hill here. We're going to be using the same colors as yesterday, which is titanium white, cerulean blue, king's blue deep. If you don't have that, just scratch that from the equation and just use cerulean blue, alizarin crimson, raw umber, and this stuff here is neo magilp. This stuff right here, and that is a painting medium that will help the paint go on a little bit smoother and dry a little bit faster. So we let this sit overnight. It's still wet, but it's firmed up a little bit, so it'll be easier to add in layers on top. First thing I'm going to do, and before I get started, again, as always, if you enjoy these videos, please feel free to share with your friends, comment, tag them in the comments below. And I really appreciate that. That helps me out, and hopefully these videos help you out as well. So let's get started with this. If you have any questions as I go through, make sure you post them in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer them after I post the video in about an hour. All right, so let's start out with the shadow color again. I'm going to start out with my filbert brush here. I'm going to take a little bit of that neo magilp. I'm going to take some of my cerulean blue and king's blue deep, a little bit of raw umber, and a little bit of alizarin. I go a little bit more raw umber, and then a little bit of white. That will give us a good starting shadow color. So the first thing I want to do is actually going to go a little bit darker. I'm going to make another pile over here. A little bit darker. And what I want to do is just kind of darken up this area here, right over the hill. So I'm just going to put a dark streak right here. I'm going to extend that up just a little bit. Maybe a few little darker streaks up through the clouds up top. And then I'm going to take a flat brush here and take that same color. I just want to darken up the hill a little bit. So we want it to look like the hill's kind of getting swallowed up by the clouds a little bit, right there. All right, next what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to that filbert brush. I'm going to go into the lighter shadow color. I'll add a little bit more white, so it's a little too dark. Add a little King's Blue to it as well. We don't want it to be quite as gray. There we go. And what I'm going to do is just create a little bit more of the clouds going up through the top portion. So I'm going to start with the shadow, letting it blend in with the sky a little bit. Then I'm just going to grab some white. I'm going to take this right up off the top. And I'll do just a few little white areas here going off the top edge. Okay, I'm going to go back to my shadow color and then just work that down a little bit more. Then what I'm going to do is take a clean background brush. And I'm going to start with the shadows down here. Just feather these together. So a little bit of light scrubbing. Then up through this cloud, going to feather that. Okay, so now I've got my composition set up how I want it for my clouds. Now it's a matter of detailing. So you're going to want to keep this brush handy. I'm going to be using a small round brush and a flat brush. I'll start with the flat brush. And I'm going to grab some of my white. No more Neo McGilp at this point. And I'm going to start down here actually. Now I want to highlight my clouds. Remember yesterday we said our light source is right to left. So I'm highlighting little ridges or contours out towards the right hand side. Then down underneath the clouds. Got some lighter color to create, we want kind of the shadowy cloud going through here and then some lighter color in the background, creating some contrast. Okay, then I'm going to take my white I'm going to keep highlighting out towards the right hand side. you can always add to your clouds too as you go. So I want to take this blending brush. Every once in a while, after I do a few bright white brush strokes, just going to take my blending brush and feather over everything. What that will do is smooth down the paint and eliminate the brush strokes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my white. I'll work in through this section now. And so you probably noticed a lot of these lessons I've kept the color palette pretty simple. And that was by design. I want it to be... Color mixing is one of the harder things to do in painting. So I wanted to keep all these lessons a little bit easier, color mixing wise. One thing I might have done different with this one is add a little bit of yellow to my white at the end to brighten up the clouds, but I'm just going to do just white for this one. Keeping it a lot easier that way. So I'm allowing the colors to blend or mix in with the paint that's already up here as I go down and away from my light source. And then light brush over. Okay, so I really want to build up some volume on this cloud here, just to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, next I'm going to go up here, brighten up this new cloud that I just put on. So just put a little color up there, then the light brush over. Alright, so just a kind of a slow process of highlighting a little bit and then brushing over. And you want to keep doing this. So now down through here, want to highlight a little bit. An important thing to do is leave little, got a little bristle in there, but you want to leave little gaps in between some of your highlights. Just like yesterday, a lot of times I'll brush up with the direction of the cloud. So even under here, I'll get a little bit of lighter color, just to create a little atmosphere. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit brighter here. Maybe a few more little break-off areas. Okay, now I want to create a little bit of volume in through here, so I'm going to add a highlight starting here, because that will pop this part out a little bit. And I want to slowly blend it down into my shadows. Okay, then up here we'll add in some brighter highlights. Okay, maybe I'll do a little bright highlight kind of along the ridge of this cloud. Okay, and then I'll brush that out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit thicker with the paint now, really kind of putting it on almost like frosting. That way I get a little bit of texture, which is nice. And that way the paint will stick a little bit better if you put it on thicker towards the end. Okay, then we'll do a few little random highlights. Okay, then I'll do a really light brush, smoothing everything down a little bit. Then I'm going to go to my small round brush, go into my white, and over here, go a little more controlled with my highlights. You can also use that brush to do a few brighter highlights up on these clouds as well. Okay, then I'm going to lightly brush out brush strokes. Okay, next what I want to do is put in my second hill. So I'm going to go back to my filbert brush. I'm going to take some of my blues. Take some raw umber. Some alizarin. I'm going to add more cerulean blue. Some more raw umber. So we're getting a color that's a little bit darker, slightly warmer. Then I'm going to go into my Gagnon, my flat brush. I'm going to block in all the way to the bottom here. Okay, I'm going to add some more blue and raw umber. A little bit more alizarin. So cerulean blue. I just want to make this slightly darker. I want to work it up close to this cloud. And we'll block all the way into the bottom. Then I'm going to lightly brush with the very tip of the brush to create a little bit of texture on the top to make it look more tree-like. Okay, then I'm going to add a little bit of this color into the shadow of this cloud. And a little bit in this one as well.